All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to talk about Terence Crawford and Bob Arum's lawsuit and Terence Crawford's team catching Bob Arum in one, may beat him in a certain aspect of this of his lawsuit. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. We are back talking about Terence Crawford and Bob Arum and the lawsuit that Terence Crawford filed against Bob Arum for breach of contract. We have a bunch of stuff going on, and I do believe, this is my opinion, that Terence Crawford exposes Bob Arum playing some games in this particular lawsuit. But before I get into it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber to the channel, thank you very, very much for continuing to support the channel by watching the videos, watching the live streams. Also, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of more of when we release more videos. We got a really great boxing community, and we think that you'll really appreciate the content. This is a little bit of a different type of content because it is dealing with a lawsuit that has taken place between Terence Crawford and Bob Arum. And I'm going to try my best to keep this as straightforward as I possibly can be. There's some procedural issues that I have to describe and explain in order to clarify it, but let's do that. But in short, Bob Arum's getting slick, in my personal opinion, and Terence Crawford's team caught him getting slick. And as a result, Terence Crawford may have one-upped Bob Arum. We will find out within the next couple weeks whether he did or not, but let me explain the situation to you. Terence Crawford sues Bob Arum for essentially a breach of contract or a contract issue, saying that he was owed a certain number of fights over a certain amount of time, and Bob Arum did not provide them for him. He also talked about a certain amount of money being owed to him as a result of a specific fight not being made, and that is the Arum Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight. That is the crux of the lawsuit. Also, in supporting his argument for breach of contract and not having been paid the money that he was due, which is all breach of contract. However, inside of that, there was also conversations about Bob Arum, somewhat salacious accusations about Bob Arum being a racist or not knowing how to promote black fighters and being more supportive or putting forward a better effort for Latino fighters and Eastern European fighters than he did for Black American fighters, specifically Terence Crawford, and talking about that. However, for the most part, what Terence Crawford is asking for is no less than $4.5 million that came from fights that he was promised that were not made, and bonus payments or payments made for the fight not being made for Arum Spence Jr. Now, that is the substance of the complaint. Now, what has happened so far? As soon as Terence Crawford filed the lawsuit, and before Bob Arum was actually served, the complaint, right, which is done by somebody that officially hands you the complaint, usually to somebody like, the registered agent or the registered agent for Top Rank. Before he was actually served, Top Rank filed a motion to remove the case from the state court in Nevada to a federal court. I think the Ninth Circuit. I think it's the Ninth Circuit, the Ninth Federal Circuit in Nevada, right? So they moved it from federal court, from state court to federal court. Why did they say that they did that? They said that they were doing that because of two issues. One, that there was what you call diversity of citizenship, which meant that Top Rank was domiciled, or their main place of business is Nevada, while Terence Crawford, who made the complaint, is a resident of Nebraska. When you have two different have two parties from two different states that makes it a matter of an interstate matter. And as a result, it goes to the federal courts take those type of cases, right? So that's diversity of citizenship. And also, along with that, they they have to have a certain dollar amount. And I believe it is over $75,000. So since Terence Crawford is asking for damages in excess of $4.5 million, they're saying the combination of those two makes it go to federal court. Now, but Terence Crawford wants it in state court. Why, I can't tell you specifically. It may be that he feels like the procedures in the state court are more amenable to him winning, whether it's the jury trial in the state court or not. I can't tell you, but whatever reason it is, he wants it in state. He wants it in state court. Now, and what they claimed was that they did something called a snap removal. And a snap removal is when a defendant, before they're actually served the complaint, removes the case from one court, from state court, and moves it to federal court before actually having been served. And the reason that they don't want people to do that is because that is pretty much gamesmanship. People spent money and they filed the case in the state court. You haven't even been served in the state court and you're asking to remove it before the case been heard or anything like that. They feel like that is just a bad procedure. And they typically do not want to allow that. They're also, want to prevent people from being able to take advantage of electronic dockets and finding and reading their cases and making a decision about what they're going to do before they actually get served. But for whatever reason, it's called a snap removal. And they were saying that they should not be allowed to move that. They should be remanded. The case should be remanded from federal court back to state court because of that, right? So had to just catch you up on that. Now, what is the information that Terence Crawford got that it trumps this, or very well may trump this? In their response to Top Rank, right? Well, because they had a motion to remand it back to state court. So there's the removal, and then they filed to remand, and then Bob Arum and Top Rank responded to the motion to remand, and now Terence Crawford is responding to that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, back, bit, back, boom, right? Now, what he's saying is, look, man, we got the contract. And in the contract, the actual agreement between Bob Arum and Terence Crawford, it says that the contract says that they agreed to be subject to the jurisdiction of a Nevada state court. And it's actually a top rate contract with Terence Crawford that the case be heard in state court. So why, when Top Rank makes an offer, and I'm assuming it's their contractor, signs an agreement with Terence Crawford for any one of their issues to be held in state court, why would they immediately file to move it to federal court, even though they already agreed that they wanted to do it in state court, right? So I'm not going to wager on what is going to actually happen and who's going to get this, but more than likely, when you're talking about a contract type of situation, usually those situations, from my understanding, they're looking at the intent of the parties, and it was clear that the parties intended both Top Rank and Terence Crawford to have this case litigated in state court in Nevada. And they both agreed to that. So that may trump all of the different arguments going back and forth about where they should have it. And I would suspect, since Bob Arum immediately wanted to get it out of there, he was either doing one of two things. He either really believes he'll have a harder time winning it in state court, or he's trying to play deep pockets and move and pretty much just run up the bill on Terence Crawford by making him have to file motion after motion after motion after motion. But whatever the case is, it seems to me that Terence Crawford is in the stronger position here, because Bob Arum and Top Rank actually had already agreed to have it in state court. But you know what it is. We'll see what happens. As far as the breach of contract, to me, seems pretty straightforward to me, and we'll see what the case is. And all of the stuff about whether or not Bob Arum is a racist and all of that stuff, I don't know how much that's going to affect it. But the question is, what does the contract say? if you had 3 fights, I do believe the year was 2019 during the pandemic, when there was still a pandemic, that he didn't get that second fight. Do they owe him for that fight? And do they owe him a bonus for not having the Errol Spence Jr. fight? Seems to be a pretty much straight up and down type of thing that Bob Arum is probably trying to get out of by switching it to a different court, and maybe thinking if they keep flipping back and keep driving up the bill on Terence Crawford, that he may actually, get sick of spending the money and walk away. Because I assume that Bob Arum has deeper pockets than Terence Crawford. But anyway, that's the update on it. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.